Hello ladies and gents, PepperBelly here, and the developers of Ground Branch, which is Blackfoot Studios, were kind enough to actually hook me up with a free copy of the Operator Edition, which is sold for $60 on their store right now and will be available on Steam once Early Access is available on Steam, which we don't know exactly when that'll be, maybe a couple of weeks to a month, sometime around that. So I mean, it's kind of awesome. I'm really happy about that, because I mean, like, I don't have to pay for the game now. It's like I got a free copy. Like, free things is always good, right? And just before any of you guys make assumptions on anything, this does not mean I'm, like, going to suddenly be, like, suck-ups to them and, you know, make all my videos, like, super, like, yeah, this game's amazing, go buy it. They didn't buy me off, is what I'm saying. Just putting it out there in case anyone wants to, like, argue that against me. But anyway, here's Ground Branch with the new update. And within the Operator Edition actually comes some new maps. So you got Aircraft Takedown, Depot, and Kill House, which the tech preview that's free and available to get is what I showed you before. Only had the nature area, the shooting range, and a target test. So we're going to go to the Kill House because, hell yeah, I'm going to do a time run. We're going to set this up. And then I'm going to talk to you about a few things that I've noticed that have changed within 0.9.4. So one of the things I talked about in my last video, which I said was like amazing attention to detail, and I absolutely loved it. But the thing is, it wasn't 100% accurate. So like, I was kind of like, my brain was just swimming in dopamine, and I failed to mention something I should have noticed immediately. And someone posted, or you know, pointed it out in the comments section, which is good, because, and I made an annotation after, like, illustrating that it wasn't entirely accurate. And that's basically the chambered round when you pull a magazine out. So if I'm firing the weapon, as I was showing in my last video, and I reload, and I would fire off the action, he does the animation properly now, as you can see. Before, if I play this in slow motion, and I fire off the round, and I pull the magazine out, the magazine would, you know, drop out, and then if I fired off the action, he would put the magazine in and hit the bolt catch, or the bolt release, which is not what would actually happen in real life, because that magazine needs to engage the bolt catch. So without the magazine there, the bolt would not lock to the rear, so he needs to run his hand up the back and pull the cocking handle. Which there's no animation for the cocking handle actually sliding back yet, but as you can see, that is what it's supposed to actually look like. Not just hitting the bolt release. Because there's a piece of exposed plastic, which is like where the rounds actually sit on with the spring, and like the platform that the rounds sit on. There's a spring underneath that pushes it up, which is what pushes the rounds up. That little plastic piece will actually, when the magazine is empty, will be exposed. It will expose a little lip that'll actually clip and tap the bolt catch, so that when the bolt locks to the rear, it'll actually stay back, versus like cycling forward again. Without the magazine there, the bolt will just slide forward again, so you get the point. So it's remedied. They fixed that. Now the other thing they also added, which is kind of awesome, and some people were complaining about this, oops, hang on, is recoil. As you can see, the weapon pulls up into the right. If I don't actually like try to compensate for it, it'll pull up into the right. So there's actually weapon recoil now. And if I fire in semi-automatic, you'll actually see the grouping will not be pinpoint accurate. I mean, firing in fully automatic was pinpoint accurate, but even with semi-auto, you'll see that it's not pinpoint accurate, hitting the same spot every time. The grouping will change. It will generally focus in the same area, but for the most part, there will be a grouping. It'll have some spread. So, you know, good. Like, we needed some recoil added to the game, and it's exactly what they did, and it's great. So, I mean, I'm pretty ecstatic about that. They also revised the reload animation. So, like, before, it was kind of weird where if I were to do, like, a retention reload or a tactical reload, I'd pull the magazine out, you would see it clip through the mag housing, and then he would place it in, and it wouldn't be, like, perfectly lined up. Same with in third person, if I did a retention reload, the magazine would actually, like, appear out in front of the magazine housing, and then we would slap it in, it would just suddenly, like appear in the mag housing. So, like, it wasn't, like, lined up properly, where now, it actually looks like he's placing it properly. As you can see, like, man, look at how sexy that looks. It's, like, it's so precise and accurate. Going into third person, you can see it better if I'm doing speed reloads. He places it, like, directly in the mag housing. Like, it's perfect now. Retention reload, takes that magazine out, puts another one in. Like, it's pretty much perfect. Like, the accuracy of where the magazine goes when he places it, how he pulls it out. There's no clipping issues whatsoever like there was before. which is awesome. Because it also happened in first person. So if I was aiming down my sight, looking through it, and now we're to do a retention reload, the mag, or the whole weapon and the stock would actually move up into my vision and would cause clipping issues that would look something like that. It would like be just going through my face. And now it's revised, it's a lot better now, so that you can't even notice it unless you actually intentionally look down using like your free look mechanic. And then speed reloads, you can see. And it's cool because you still look down the sights, which like your sight is still on target. It's not as bouncy and movey, or it doesn't move around nearly as much as it did before. It's actually like the weapon stays relatively pointed down range, except for like, you know, retention reload. It kind of moves more, which is to be expected. Tactical or speed reload still kind of bounces around a bit. But I mean, ultimately, it's like it's still pointed down range, which is what you want. I mean, ideally, in a situation like this, you would, like, not move the weapon at all. Like, the magazine would just drop, you'd slip a new one in, and it would barely have any movement. But, I mean, it's still, like, it's still friggin' sweet. So, I mean, I'm pretty happy about that. The game just has this level of polish that wasn't there before. It just feels like it's more polished now, which is cool. The other thing I wanted to talk about was brass ejection. So when you're actually watching the casings fly out of the weapon, before it was like, it would eject properly like this. But if I started moving to the right while shooting, the brass would actually like clip through the weapon and like fall down like at my feet here. But now, not so much. If I'm moving, I mean, it'll slow the you know, the brass down, like it'll just drop out, which again isn't like that's, I mean, it would still fling this shit far. Like, I don't think moving to the right would actually be like, it would cut the momentum of the speed and trajectory of the brass that much that it would like drop at my feet versus like moving and it's ejecting super far like that. But I mean, they fixed it now, so the brass actually ejects properly, and it does not clip within the weapon. So, again, better, more revised system. Now, one thing I said in my last video as well was that you can't really see the bolt cycle back. And that's because it's going too fast. After I slowed down time, I realized that, yeah, actually you can see the bolt cycle back. So, I mean, and when you're playing in real time, it's noticeable, but it's not as noticeable like it would be in real life. So, I mean, again, attention to detail, it's pretty great. They also, there's a lot of things that have been addressed. Like, there is no changelog. I might as well point out now, because I haven't noticed a changelog. Because none was posted. I kind of just, like, saw this update today. And these are just things I kind of noticed on my own, so. And it's a lot better. They actually fixed the left strafe animation. So, like, if I were, you know, running forward, strafing right, it would be the same. If I strafed left, the weapon would actually lower, and it would be kind of like less, there would be more sway, and it wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't be viable to actually like shoot while moving this speed. I mean, typically it's not viable to engage targets at this speed because you can tell the weapon sway is insane. But in my last video, I also said it was realistic. And I talked about why, but just for like, you know, ease sake, I'll bring it up again why I said that. It's realistic to an extent. Of course, the weapon sway like this is a little bit exaggerated for what would actually be at the speed. I mean, for the animation that's playing when he's doing it, like, it makes sense. Like, the way he's actually, the way he looks when he runs, the sway makes sense. Because he's kind of like jogging versus actually shuffling his feet for a tactical pace. Like, say when you're breaching a room fast, like what you would actually do, you wouldn't move like this. You shuffle your feet in a way that would allow you to retain accuracy when you were doing it. But anyway, they fixed it, and the reason why I said it was somewhat realistic is because if you're trying to move from this position, you're holding the weapon in front of you, and you're trying to push your weapon to the right. So you're forcing your aim off center, which would not be your natural point of aim. You're straining yourself to get that weapon to the right, and while you're moving left, you're also trying to orient your torso that way, so basically the weapon is less stable, resulting in more sway. It happens in real life. Whereas tucking the weapon in closer to you and aiming to the left while moving to the right, it's a lot easier. Like, if you actually stand up in your room right now and literally do that, pretend to hold a weapon, strafe right, and just move the weapon left in your hands without turning your torso, you'll see that you can do it. Now, do it in the opposite direction, without moving your torso, but moving it to the right, like you're trying to stretch yourself off of the, like, you could tell it's not viable. And this is where being ambidextrous actually comes in handy, because you're able to, like, lean around corners and expose less of your body as a result. Like, if I'm here and I'm leaning out to the right, I'm exposing very little of myself. But if I'm over here doing the same thing this way, you can see that I'm exposing my left shoulder. I'm exposing far more of myself. If I were to actually like move the stock to my left shoulder and aim the same way I am now, it would help mitigate what exposure I have. But I mean, it would not be the most viable shooting like stance versus just being able to fire left-handed like you can right-handed. So, I mean, that's another thing they addressed. They also addressed sprinting. The animation for sprinting was a little weird. It kind of felt like Oblivion or Halo 1, where basically you'd sprint forward like this, and if I were to strafe left and right, it would still show the sprinting animation, and if I were to, like, run backwards, it would do, like, the moonwalk, basically, where I'd be sprinting forward but moving back. The animation was the same for all directions, basically, is what I'm saying. Kind of like what Halo 1 was like, and what Oblivion and Morrowind did back in the day. The Elder Scrolls. But yeah, you can see now that if I'm sprinting forward, it's only in one direction. If I strafe, he'll just do a run, strafe right, run, and if I move backwards. So the animations have been reworked and are definitely a hell of a lot better, which is pretty sweet. So, the other thing I noticed is trigger discipline is in the game. Like, it's there, you can see it, which is kind of neat. So if I'm here like this, and I go on the low ready, his finger will be outside the trigger guard. And if I bring the weapon to my shoulder, ready to fire, his finger is inside the trigger guard, ready to pull the trigger. Now, ideally in real life, you still wouldn't have your finger on the trigger like this, even if you were shouldering the weapon, unless you were absolutely ready to fire. But I mean, the principle is there. Like, what they have in place right now is like, it's just a little things, like I said, attention to detail, which is kind of great. You know, you go in first person, you actually see the finger pull the trigger. The only thing you don't see, however, is the selector lever switch actually move, because it's on burst fire right now, but you can't tell. It's in the safe position right now, fully automatic. Still in the safe position. Damn, see that? See how sexy that was? Man. But I mean, I'm imagining these things will be added and implemented at some point. Because I mean, even Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter on PC had, like, you could see, like, the selector switch actually move. You see his thumb, like, go up and, like, flick it, too, to move. And, like, I remember freaking, like, having a nerdgasm back then, too, just being like, oh my god, the attention to detail, holy shit. I mean, I love little things like that. It just brings out, like, so much in a tactical shooter. It just makes it feel significantly more realistic and authentic, which is what you want. So, I mean, it's pretty sweet. Now, one of the things I haven't actually talked about, I kind of brought it up briefly in my last video, and that was basically, like, the actual customization of your vest. So before I said like, oh yeah, you can click here and then you can choose your color after you customize it the way you want. I didn't actually show it though. So I will show it this time. You can basically come in here and you can pick what kind of body armor you want. So you can have either just a simple tactical vest, actual like thick body armor with plates, I'm assuming that would be inside this, or maybe it's just Kevlar, I'm not entirely sure, and a chest harness, which is just like a lightweight type of, like this is something I would take to a shooting range or something, you know, just something really simple. And you can customize it with you, like where you want to place things. You can like go, okay, I want my primary pouches here for my magazines of my primary weapon, secondary, and maybe I want to put some explosives, a flashbang here, frag grenade, smoke grenade. Like, you get the idea. You can customize them however you want. Each one has a certain amount of spots available. Like the chest harness only has 4, tac vest has 8, and of course the body armor I believe has, yeah, I have 6 down here and 4 up here. So it's like there's a little bit more in that regard. So, I mean, it's cool how you can actually do this. Like, you know, you can customize it however the hell you want. I mean, traditionally in the Canadian Forces, it's like you got your mag pouches up here, and then everything else is down here, which is like something I'm not particularly fond of, because you're awkwardly like reaching up here to like grab the magazine. It's like a lot. It doesn't even look like this. First of all, it's all built in, so it's like more not as prominent as seeing like a mag pouch like this like sticking out. But I mean, the fact that you can literally customize literally everything is friggin' sweet. How this is going to have an effect in the game, I am not entirely sure. But I mean, it's there, it's cool, and I'm happy to see it. So, the last thing we're going to talk about now is going to be the rail customization. Because this is really cool how they actually added this, and it's something I'm particularly fond of. So if I go to my weapon, here, my M4 platform, I can actually pick and choose where I want my sight to be. So if I remove the holographic, for example, I bring it up, I can actually position it wherever I want on the rail mounts, which is, like, really awesome. Because it made me immediately think of something that you could potentially do, and I kind of tried to do it, somewhat. I took, like, a red dot, like this, place it there, and I tried to take the holographic and put it in front But as you can see, it doesn't fit. But I mean, you can put it here, for example. And that's just like weird. Hang on, let me remove this laser system sight. So you can see, like, you can kind of get where I'm getting with this. All right, like if I were to accept that and go in game, like, it works, sort of. The only thing is the red dot isn't magnified. In real life, you would want that to be magnified, because if you know what I'm talking about, this would be a magnifier. It would be a flip-up magnifier sight, which I think if they added that in the game at some point, that would be pretty great. Being able to actually be to flip this up and down and have a holographic out in front, just for like more customization, like that'd be pretty sweet. Or if you are familiar with playing America's Army, then having the reflex sight would be out front like that. That's how the reflex sight looked in America's Army. It was out on front. You couldn't customize where you wanted to go. If you just placed it, this is where it was. I'm talking America's Army 2. I don't think if 3 had it like this. But I'm talking about like the first America's Army. Special Forces, this is where they would place it. So I mean, like, there's a lot of depth of customization, again, of what you can do with where you want to place things, which is friggin' sweet. The flip-up sights, they revised as well, which is friggin' awesome, because the way it was before, it counted as one. So if I were to like pick the flip-up sight, it would be both the front and back. And if I were to bring it up like this, it would like automatically place one here and then one at the front. The problem with that is, like, if I were to pick the marksman rifle, for example, and pick the same sight, and I bring it up, it would glitch out. So the rear sight would be over here, and the front sight would be here, and it was kind of like a mess. Well, now you can actually really specifically place them where you want it. If I want it to be there, and I want the flip-up front sight to be, like, really close, I can put it there, and it'll work. You see, it's like, you know, that's what it looks like. But if I want to position it further away, I can do that by removing this, taking it, and moving it towards the end. And you can see, there it is. Now it's towards the end. So, like, the customization of how you want to set things up is quite prevalent, which is friggin' awesome. Now, if I actually want to, and it, as I wanted to point out before, if I take the reflex sight, and I was showing you, like, if I have it towards the end here, for example, and I accept it, it's towards the end of the barrel, so it's the end of the muzzle, and you can see that, yeah, it's further away from my face. So, like, there actually is a point. So it's like, if I want to have the sight closer to my face so I have more field of vision looking through the sight, I can actually just grab it and bring it closer to the front here like that. And when I look through the sight, you can see the picture is bigger. It's more clear. I have a little bit more field of view looking through the weapon sight versus it being further down and smaller. So, I mean, there's a lot of customization there, and it's pretty friggin' sweet. It's a lot you can do with it. So, I mean, it's cool. Alright, like, I'm pretty excited about this game. The reload animations have been revised for the M4, but I tried testing the AK-40 or AK-74 and the MP5. The animations, again, are still the M4 animations. But I mean, for the most part, it's, like, it's fixed. So now, if I'm going to, like, equip other attachments, so like the tack light, I can also move this wherever the hell I want, which is sweet. Put it towards the end here. And the laser system can actually be placed elsewhere. So before it was like restricted to the sides, just like the flashlight was, but now it can actually be placed on top, like back here, here as well. Or, you know, like kind of what you'd see like in movies, like operators, Navy SEALs and whatnot, they'd have it on top instead of on the side. I mean, it's all preference, right? How, like whatever the hell you want to do. And then you can take the foregrip as well and you can place it wherever you want. I mean, I would like to see like where you place it offers at some point in the future, like, advantages, because having it out here is a lot easier to secure it in your shoulder because you're stretching your arm out. Your arm is straighter, allowing you to pull it in without actually having to bend your elbow, which can be somewhat more of a benefit for stability on the muzzle side of things. But closer here allows for like your elbows to be closer and making it easier for CQB. And I mean, there's like a lot of potential for like what they can do with this, having the foregrip placed wherever the hell they want. Of course, naturally, the animation still isn't in place for that. So I mean, don't expect it to be like him grabbing the foregrip. Like, I mean, if I, you know, come out here and go in third person, he still grips the mag housing instead of the foregrip. But I mean, that will be looked at some point in the future. And of course, we can do the shoot house because this is cool. Because the shoot house is fun. And the thing is, you don't even have to actually, like, wait for the buzzer. I've noticed that if you just go ahead right away, you can just walk in and all the targets will be there. So like if you wait for the buzzer, what it does is it randomizes, it's like 2 of the target locations, so it'll take like 2 of the positions and it'll randomize them. Instead, like, there'd be one here, one here, one here, one there, one. You get the idea. Like, it wouldn't randomize. They would all be spawned at once if you just don't wait for the buzzer and go straight in. Do a tactical reload. Looks friggin' awesome. I mean, I would personally like to see an animation in the future that makes the tactical reload faster. Up to standard with how I've always done it. Because what I would always do is I'd actually pull out the other magazine first, then pull that one out with my middle finger in between, giving a space, like in between the magazines, so that I can just pull it out and insert the other one right away. This minimizes the time between having your weapon unloaded and loaded. So like if I were to do a retention preload now, you'll see the magazine comes out, it's empty, it's empty, it's empty. Now it's not. Versus I reach for the other magazine, I pull it out, I put it in, it's only been unloaded for like a second, tops, not even. And Call of Duty, I hate to say, but you'll see a lot of Call of Duty games do that where like he'll pull out the other magazine first. Like if you have the AK-74 or AK-47, you'll actually see him pull it out and he'll flick the mag release underneath it and then put the new one in. That's a real, like tactical reload that's done in a fast, aggressive manner that looks, like, quite frankly, badass as fuck when you see it done in real life. And, you know, there's a lot of skill there. I'd like to see, like, some different animations for being able to minimize time between having your weapon loaded and unloaded. Because, I mean, it's more beneficial to, like, grab a new magazine first and then... Because, I mean, you're literally just pulling it out, putting it in, and then you put the other one away. Versus pulling this out, grab a magazine, put it in. So, I mean, it's like, who knows what they're going to do with that. There's a lot of potential here. So, the video, again, is long. I think it's 21 minutes so far. So, that's going to be 22 minutes looking at the time. I try my hardest, guys. I actually, I already recorded this video before, and I re-recorded it to try to minimize the amount of time I spent talking about this. As you can see, yeah, no, it's still kind of lengthy. I can't help myself. I don't know why, but I am the kind of guy who pumps out super long videos when I want to give demonstrations like this. So apologies. I tried, but it's still 22 minutes. And unfortunately, I can't do anything to change that because I already tried. But regardless, this is 0.9.4. This is the Operator Edition. That includes the new maps. It's looking better. It feels more polished. It's like it's getting there. It's a lot better now, and I can't wait to see how much further this game will progress in the future for things like actually adding AI and, you know, actually adding a lot more to the game. Maybe some multiplayer to like run around and I mean multiplayer actually can work now. It's possible to like go in the configuration or go into the command screen like this, command whatever the fuck it's called, command line, and actually connect to an IP directly. It is possible. I'm not sure if anyone actually successfully managed to make it happen yet, but you can do that. But I would like to see eventually, like, it officially supported so that we can just, you know, run around and shoot each other and test it out. Which would be pretty cool. Or, like, you know, do kill houses together. Like, imagine having, like, someone else here with you to actually, like, come in here and, like, you know, you clear right, you clear left. Like, you would in real life, you know, actual proper teamwork. Like, it'd be fun. You know, and there'd be a lot to be able to mess around with. So, I'll pretty much wrap up the video, guys. My name's PepperBelly. Thank you guys for joining me today. And I will see you guys on the next one.